Although fiberglass was meant to be lightweight, the hood is really heavy, isn't it? There was an outfit in. Wayne Carini, a name synonymous with classic car restoration, has dazzled fans for decades with his unparalleled ability to bring vintage vehicles back to life and is renowned for his popular TV series chasing classic cars. Topeka, Kansas, somehow ended up with this car, and my dad traded 3 cars for it. Wayne Carini has established himself as one of the most reliable people in the automotive industry, but what happens when confidence in the sector is threatened by unforeseen legal issues and controversies that even an experienced professional like him wasn't ready to deal with? What actually happened to Wayne Carini, and how did his companies wind up embroiled in numerous lawsuits? The story of Wayne Carini's legal troubles began with an apparently routine car transaction involving a rare 1934 Pierce Arrow coupe. Australian antique collector Robert Richmond paid $98,000 in advance for the car in 2010 through a friend Gary Dixo, but instead of delivering it as agreed, Gary listed it under his own name, effectively cutting Richmond out of the deal and leaving the collector without the vehicle he had paid for years later in 2017. The Pierce Arrow reappeared when Gary, who was now having financial difficulties, sold the car without Richmond's knowledge. Wayne was contacted to appraise the vintage coupe during this transaction, unaware of its troubled history and ownership dispute. He valued it between $110,000 and $120,000 and then bought it himself when it went up for sale. Wayne was unaware that Gary, who had supplied all required ownership documents, had obtained them fraudulently in order to sell the car for a profit. Nevertheless, court records showed that Wayne had acted in good faith during the purchase, acting under the presumption that the paperwork was authentic. Things became more complicated when Richmond started following his car and discovered that it had changed hands several times. His annoyances prompted a lawsuit in 2018 that named Wayne Carini F40 Motorsports and other parties as defendants, ultimately looking into the sale as well as the veracity of Gary's ownership claims. According to court documents examined by the Hartford Courant, Wayne's involvement in the Pierce Arrow coupe, which involved years of dubious activities, unintentionally raised a lot of attention to the case. The judge ultimately decided that Wayne had done nothing wrong, but he was still obliged to help with payment refunds in order to settle the matter. This early stage of the dispute demonstrated how easily documentation and trust in the auto restoration industry could be abused, even dragging an expert like Wayne into the fray. Although the courts eventually found Wayne Carini not guilty in the Pierce Arrow coupe case, the lawsuit's effects were far-reaching. Wayne's reputation was damaged by going to court, and it also revealed weaknesses. In the vintage automobile market, where F40 Motorsports depends heavily on trust and accurate paperwork, clients and collectors rely on the validity of every transaction, and legal disputes, regardless of their outcome, can raise questions about Wayne's business. In this instance, the focus was firmly on how vintage car transactions are handled, from ownership verification to appraisals. In an interview with the Hartford Courant, Wayne later discussed the value of documentation, saying that any dealer in this industry must trust the paperwork because you can't always know the entire history of a car, but you rely on the documents as proof. This highlighted how even seasoned professionals can unintentionally find themselves in the middle of legal complexities if the chain of ownership is unclear. What made matters worse was that, even though Wayne had no malice in his heart, being linked to ownership disputes caused some to doubt the diligence his company used when purchasing vehicles, which was especially damaging in a field where reputation is crucial. Although the legal case itself revealed no fault in Wayne's actions, it revealed one of the main difficulties in the car restoration market, balancing passion with due diligence. For Wayne, the experience served as an expensive lesson in how shaky confidence in this sector can be, reminding collectors, appraisers, and dealers of the dangers associated with incomplete or fabricated documents. More than just a legal issue, the Pierce Arrow case illustrated the precarious state of a sector that depends on accurate documentation and good faith. Even Wayne Carini, who has decades of expertise, wasn't always able to confirm this. Although the Pierce Arrow lawsuit caused him a lot of public attention and legal difficulties, it wasn't the only scandal surrounding his business operations. Wayne's company, F40 Motorsports, was involved in another client issue in 2011, which raised concerns about the company's communication and customer service. This issue centered on the sale of a 2007 Lamborghini Gallardo that was promoted with an estimated $88,000 worth of rare and coveted luxury luggage. The high-end package became a key selling point for the buyer, who was reportedly eager to complete the purchase expecting the inclusion of the luxury feature. However, upon delivery of the vehicle, the buyer discovered that the luggage package was missing, leading to months of back-and-forth attempts to resolve the issue. When the buyer grew frustrated by the lack of response from Wayne and his team, legal action was initiated. According to Lamborghini Talk, an online automotive forum where the buyer shared their experience. Communication from F40 Motorsports was inconsistent and promises to resolve the matter were delayed for weeks. The issue was ultimately resolved out of court, with the buyer eventually receiving the missing luggage package and the car's spare key via FedEx. However, the drawn-out process left the client frustrated with what they described as inadequate communication and customer service from a business that had established itself as a leader in the classic and luxury car market. Wayne's reputation was still damaged by this case, even though it received less attention than the Pierce Arrow lawsuit. It raised questions about how F40 Motorsports handled customer complaints and served as a reminder to others in the automotive industry of the value of openness when marketing expensive cars, even though Wayne personally mediated the conflict. The incident revealed fundamental difficulties in upholding the confidence of affluent customers, especially when problems are not resolved right away. It was also another illustration of how, in the high-stakes world of luxury car sales, even seemingly simple transactions may become reputational hazards. For someone as well-known and respected as Wayne Carini, his involvement in numerous lawsuits, even when he is found not guilty, can cast doubt in the minds of collectors, clients, and fans. The legal issues and disputes surrounding him not only had a financial impact on his businesses, but they also posed a serious risk to his reputation, which had been the cornerstone of his career. Even though Wayne acted in good faith, the Pierce Arrow case in particular sparked discussions among enthusiasts about the diligence of dealers when confirming a car's ownership history, particularly for rare and valuable vehicles. In a business where success is determined by word of mouth and trust, such high-profile disputes can cause lasting harm. The Lamborghini instance further revealed flaws in F40 Motorsports' customer service procedures, and unhappy customers started posting reviews and complaints about sluggish contact and unresolved problems in online forums. One unnamed former client writing on a collector car forum described F40 as trustworthy but overwhelmed, making small errors in high-stakes deals. Although this feedback wasn't an indictment of Wayne's character, it painted a picture of a business struggling to meet the growing demands that come with operating at the top of the automotive world. Moreover, the media coverage surrounding these lawsuits, while limited in comparison to larger scandals in the car industry, further highlighted how competitive and precarious the collector car market can be for collectors. Even a hint of controversy around a dealer or restorer can lead them to look elsewhere, setting off a ripple effect that could take years to repair. As noted by Auto Week in a segment about legal disputes in classic car sales, trust is fragile in a niche market where reputation is everything. For Wayne, maintaining his credibility required not only addressing these controversies head-on but also implementing safeguards to prevent future disputes. These actions included modifications to the documentation procedures, greater openness for purchasers, and a greater attempt to keep lines of communication open with clients going forward. Despite resolving these conflicts, these difficulties made Wayne reassess and modify the way business was handled at F40 Motorsports, providing as a reminder of how closely operational errors and reputational risk might be linked. The consequences of certain clients' residual skepticism highlighted how crucial it is for a whole sector to be built on trust. The legal disputes and controversies surrounding Wayne Carini and F40 Motorsports served as a wake-up call for others in the collector car industry as well as for Wayne. However, in the world of classic cars, where ownership histories can span decades and involve multiple transactions, legal disputes are typical. While Drenius was referring generally to industry problems, Wayne's challenges showed how even the most seasoned professional could overlook potential red flags when relying solely on provided paperwork going forward. According to automotive legal expert John Dreas, One important lesson from these experiences seems to be the crucial role of procedural due diligence. Sports car market disputes like these underscore the necessity of thorough title searches, buyer-seller communication, and airtight documentation. Wayne appears committed to solidifying his position in the industry, not by using the lawsuits as justifications, but by using them as a lesson. If anything, the difficulties have shown that even in a successful and well-known career, mistakes or perceived mistakes are unavoidable, and that a person's legacy is frequently determined by how they handle such circumstances. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video. If you find this content interesting, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the latest updates. See you in the next video.